WOVU LP, Cleveland.
This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. In-depth conversations with people who are making a difference in the lives of others here and around the world. Culture is at the heart of who you are. Know your culture, find yourself on Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Grand Rising, Cleveland, Ohio. Vince Robinson here with another edition of Open Door. My guest this morning is Nicholas Maurice Young. He's the author of I Will Stand. It's a story of love, illness, and perseverance. Nicholas is a friend of a friend who told me about him, told me about his story, and encouraged me to have him on the air. So here we are. Welcome to Open Door, Mr. Young.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, going well. I've had a chance to look through your book, and you have quite a story. There's a lot to say, and I don't know if an hour is long enough to give us everything, but perhaps that will be an impetus for people to purchase this book. So tell us, who is Nicholas Maurice Young?
Nicholas Maurice Young is a guy that grew up in Cleveland, and I am a graduate of Harvey Rice Elementary School. I'm a graduate of Nathan Hill Junior High. I'm a graduate of James Ford Rhodes High School. I'm also a graduate of the College of Worcester, graduate of Kent State, and I'm a graduate of the University of Chicago. That is where I got my PhD. I got a master's in education from Kent, and I got a bachelor's in mathematics from the College of Worcester. I am a former professor of sociology and a former professor of entrepreneurship. I taught at a few business schools. I am now an author. Now I'm writing. I have finished the first draft of a novel, and I am currently writing a play.
Okay, I did have occasion, as I said, to take a few glances at your book, and some quite profound things happened to you. When you subtitled it, you called it A Story of Love, Illness, and Perseverance. So why don't we start with love? There was somebody in your life by the name of Susan who made such an impression on you, and you met this woman, you fell in love with her instantly, but then you had that whole distant situation, and for whatever reason, you wanted to be loyal, but you just couldn't do it, and you felt guilty about it, and there lies the rub that created the chasm between the two of you.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that I unknowingly, when I saw her, I had a feeling that came over me that I had never had before, and, I was like, wow, I think I just saw the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I told one of my uncles about me meeting her, and I told him that I was thinking about staying in Wisconsin because I was working at a boarding school in Wisconsin, and and I told him that I thought that I had just met the I didn't say the love of my life. I said I think I said my soulmate. And so he told me, he said, Nick, don't stay somewhere for a woman. And I got to say to you, Vince, when he said that to me, you know, I got to tell you that that didn't feel right to me. You know, him saying, "Don't say somewhere for a woman." You know, but the one thing that I knew is that I should not question what my uncle told me, and so I stayed. Let me see. I met her in February of 1989, and I left Wisconsin in like July of '89, and I moved back to Ohio. I moved back to Cleveland, and I started a graduate program in higher education administration at Kent State. And I got to tell you, Vince, man, when I went to Kent, man, I'll tell you, brother, the women were all over me. You know, I was like, what the heck is this? You know, what the heck is going on? You know, but Vince, they were they were all over me. You know, and I'm talking students, I'm talking grad students, talking undergrad students, and I'm talking there were a few administrative assistants that were trying to check me out. I was like, what the heck is going on? You know, and Vince, I tried to be a good boy. Now, I made a promise to Susan that that I would be faithful to her. I made a promise to her that made a promise to her that we would be together. You know, and but Vince, things changed for me. The end of the first semester at Kent, when this one woman whose name I remember her real name, but I don't remember the name I used for her in the book. She showed up at the house that I was living in. I was actually renting a room in a house, and she showed up to the house that I was living in. Showed up absolutely unannounced, and I was like, oh my God. Now see, let me tell you what was very significant about that. When she showed up, I was actually about to walk out of the house. I was about to walk out of the house, and I had to go to the airport, you know, to go pick up Susan. As I say, the woman I call Susan. But the thing is, though, Vince, there was a major snowstorm that was hitting Cleveland, and I said, oh my God, this woman walked into that house and she sat and laid on my bed and she said, "F me." And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. And so I called one of my best friends from college. He was living in Cleveland with his girlfriend, and which is now his wife. And I said, listen, man, I have a woman in my house. She won't leave. And I said, brother, can you please go pick up the woman I call Susan? Please go pick her up. Let me tell you, this man is one of the best men I've ever known. All right. And he fought through the snow and he went to pick her up. And so I said, okay, all right, Nick. Okay, you're gonna have to go back in here and you're gonna have to do what she wants you to do. And so Vince, I walked back in that house. And I got up the next morning, and I drove to Cleveland to go pick up Susan. And I felt horrible. I felt just horrible, man. But see, the reason why that was a mistake is because my decision to go back in that house, that put me on a path of being a whore. And I'm just telling you, man, it was like, oh my God. And so I kept messing around with that woman for about 4 months or so. And I gotta tell you, I decided, I said, Nick, you gotta stop doing this. And then all of a sudden, man, more women just started coming at me. You know, I was like, oh man, what? I mean, you know, one of the greatest lines in the history of movies is actually a line from Godfather 3. When oh man, what is his name? I was about to say Vince Robinson, no, but no. What is his name? Oh yeah, when Al Pacino said, every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. And brother, that's exactly what happened to me. Every time I tried to get out the game, but the thing is though, I say I would let them pull me back in. And
well,
so
yes, you were on a college campus.
Yes.
I'm estimating that you were probably in your 20s.
Yes.
You were athletic because I think you said that you ran track and you were a sprinter.
Yes.
So there was a lot for folks to be excited about in terms of seeing you. And then folks are in this place where they have all this newfound freedom. Mama and daddy ain't there to tell them you can't do this and you can't do that. So there's a lot of temptation. You're there with someone that you had a lot of feelings for, or that this person was at distance from you, but you, for whatever reason, felt a certain sense of loyalty to her. But then you had all this temptation and you succumbed to it and you paid for it for the rest of your life. It's a fascinating story, and we're going to talk more about that when we return, as well as the woman that you eventually married, and then you had a son. And in the midst of all of this, you were accomplishing everything that you were accomplishing professionally and in relation to society. And we want to talk about that too. And then on top of everything else, you were dealing with MS. So quite a story, and we're going to get to a little bit more of it when we get back. You're listening to Open Door on 95.9 FM with Vince Robinson and my guest, Nicholas Maurice Young. He's the author of I Will Stand, a story of love, illness, and perseverance. We'll be right back right here on this Burton Bell Car Community Radio Station.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
WOVU plays the best music, right?
Yeah.
And WOVU has the best talk shows and information for the city?
Yeah.
Well, now WOVU 95.9 FM has the best website to match. So right now, go ahead and log on to WOVU.org and see exactly what I'm talking about.
I know that's right.
You never have to guess what's going on WOVU 95.9. Log on to the homepage and see exactly what's playing right now, every day, 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
You can find the program schedule, events going on around the city, and check out who's who at WOVU.
You already know what it is.
So do me a favor, pull out your smartphone, your laptop, your desktop, your tablet, log on to WOVU.org right now. Can you do that for me?
I got you, fam.
WOVU 95.9 FM, the best radio station, now has the best website.
Okay.
WOVU.org. Check it out.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guest is Nicholas Young. He is an author. He's written a book called I Will Stand, a story of love, illness, and perseverance. And when we left off, we were at Kent State University. Mr. Young was just, I guess he was swallowed up by temptation. There was this woman named Susan, and he was just head over heels with her. But then a few things happened, so we're going to pick it up from there.
Okay. So yeah, I spent 2 years at Kent State, and unfortunately, Vince, the women were all over me. I mean, everywhere I went on campus, I ran into a woman that expressed some interest in me. I mean, it was just totally surreal, man. But I was so ashamed I was so ashamed about what I was doing. A friend of mine from college, he told me that the woman I called Susan she was too insecure for me. Now, she was insecure, but the thing is, though, she had every right to be insecure because of, because of the way I was, the way I was acting, the stuff I was doing. And he told me that I needed to get rid of her, and because she was too insecure. And for some reason, brother, I allowed him to influence me. And so I called her one day in April of 91. And I told her that she was too insecure for me. But I got to say, Vince, she, her insecurity really didn't bother me. I was the one that was insecure, because I was insecure about the fact that I didn't know how to love her. So I gotta tell you, when I hung up that phone, man, I cried like a baby. I was standing up when I was talking to her, and then I sat on my bed and I laid back in the bed and I just cried. I just cried, man. And I called her 2 days after that conversation. And I called her to tell her that I love her, and to tell her that I had made a mistake. But I tell you, brother, there was anger in her voice, and I was too embarrassed to tell her that I love her, and so I decided to move on.
You also called her to share with her that you had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and her reaction to your sharing that with her was a little bit different. Can you talk about what that was like for you?
Yeah. Okay. I'll talk about that in a second. But the thing is, though, I decided that I wanted to get a PhD in sociology. And so I applied to a bunch of schools. And I did not get into any of the schools that I applied to. But the father of one of my former students from that business school, he was a professor at the University of Chicago. And he's the person that actually got me in to the University of Chicago. And so I started at the University of Chicago, and people at Chicago, they actually call it the U of C. I started at the U of C, in fall of '91, and a month after I started there, I was diagnosed with MS. I had some strange things happening in my body. You know, I had weakness on the right side of my body. My hands were they were numb. You know, I had been doing a lot of typing, and so I actually met with this guy. He was a doctor there, and he asked me, had anything like that ever happened to me before? I told him no, but I told him about this one episode I had in summer of '87, summer before my senior year in college, that I had I had a summer cold, and I woke up. I had weakness on the right side of my body, and that episode lasted for 9 days, and then it just went away. Like it just went away like nothing happened. So I received my official diagnosis in November of '91, but I met with that guy the month before that, and that's when he told me he thought that the symptoms that I described to him were like MS. And so I walked home from the University of Chicago hospital, and I called Susan, and I told her that this one doctor said that he thinks that I have MS, and so she was like, "Wow," you know, and so I wanted to tell her that I loved her and that I missed her. But brother, the anger in her voice just pushed me away. Totally pushed me away.
You expressed that you exposed your infidelity to her, and she accepted it, and she was kind of willing to move on from it, but didn't seem as though you were willing to forgive yourself. Was that an accurate assessment?
Well, yes and no. I never told her about the fact that I was so unfaithful. I was too ashamed to do that. But the thing is, though, Vince, I have not forgiven myself for what I did.
Okay. Well, that happens in life. You know, your uncle told you you shouldn't be connected with someone who might be away from you or whatever, or you should move for that person. But, you know, he doesn't know you the way you know yourself. It seems as though that was probably a decision that you have lived with in terms of regret for a long time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. See, the thing is, man, I actually chose the wrong uncle to talk to, because the uncle I chose, he was married to my mother's sister. And I tell you, brother, he was a whore. You know, I mean, he was very unfaithful to my auntie. And but see, the thing is, man, I should have, you know, if I was going to talk to an uncle, I had 3-4 other uncles I could have spoken to. But what's interesting, though, Vince, is if I had spoken with my mother, if I had spoken with one of my aunties, they would have told me, Nick, you got to stay there. Don't you leave Wisconsin. They would have told me that.
Yes. And you also indicated that your mother was not really involved in your decision making to a great extent, But
Right.
it seems as though that there was an exception, and she kind of let you know that there is something special about this woman that you really need to reconsider.
Right. Yeah. When I 2 weeks passed after I called Susan, and I pushed her away. And I told my mother told her about what I did. And brother, first time my mother had a look on her face, and she asked me, she said, "Why'd you do that?" And I said, "Oh my God." I said, and I told her, I said, "Mom, she was too insecure for me." And my mother told me, she said, "Nick," well, my mother called me Nicky. That's what my family and some of my friends call me. She said, "Nicky, I'm going to tell you something. You will wish that you had a woman like her later in life."
Well,
And
those must have been some prophetic words, because it was enough for you to write this book, which is it kind of reads like a novel, even though it's biographical in nature. We're going to talk more about your story when we come back. You're listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. My guest this morning is Nicholas Maurice Young, author of I Will Stand, a story of love, illness, and perseverance. We'll be right back after this.
Are you or someone you know in need of help? Here's a resource you can turn to.
The Thea Bowman Center has been serving the community for over 50 years and provides services to help support Mount Pleasant and surrounding communities of all ages. Some of these programs include adult education like GED, computer classes, food pantry, senior outreach, youth after school, and summer programs, and much more. Are you a Cleveland resident in need of a GED preparation, a food pantry, youth or senior programs? Then call the Thea Bowman Center at 216-491-0669 or visit TheaBowmanCenter.org. Call the Thea Bowman Center at 216-491-0669 or visit TheaBowmanCenter.org to register today.
This message is brought to you by the Thea Bowman Center and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guest is Nicholas Maurice Young, author of I Will Stand, the story of love, illness, and perseverance. Nicholas, you were given some really sage advice by your mother that you chose to ignore, and it seems as though you've paid a price for it. So we're going to fast forward a little bit and move on. You got married. In the book, the woman's name is Bobby. Whether that's her real name or not, that's how you identified her. And you talked about the day that you got married. Who was Bobby, and why was she important to you?
Okay. The woman I call Bobby is a woman I went to college with. And we actually dated briefly in college. And then for some reason it just didn't work out. But we actually reconnected when my first quarter at the University of Chicago. And so she's somebody that I loved for a long time. And our relationship started out very sexual. And it actually probably should have stayed that way. But I was with her fall '91. I'd say something like spring of '92, and then I just pushed her away. And so we were not in each other's lives. Let's see, 92 until 98. She was working at Denison University, and she was working with one of my former mentors from college. That is, unfortunately, she is no longer with us, and so the woman I called Bobby and I, we became close again, and I moved from Chicago to back to Ohio, and I started living with her, and then she got into a PhD program at Ohio State, and so we were pretty serious, and then things just got crazy with us, and so I actually left there in 2000, and I moved to Minneapolis, and I started teaching at a school called the University of St. Thomas, the top private university in the state of Minnesota. And so I moved to Minneapolis, and I have to tell you, Vince, once again, I had the women all over me. The thing is, though, these were not black women; these were white women, and they were all over me, man. And I did my best to stay away from them for about 6 months, 6, 7, 8 months, and then then, brother, as the saying goes, the floodgates just opened up. And then they were just, and then it was like, wow. And so I called Bobby one day, told her I wanted her to meet me in Chicago, and when she did that, I asked her to marry me. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have never been in love with Bobby, but I've always loved her. But I should not have married her because I was not in love with her, and the fact that the woman I called Susan, I should probably tell you this. I have thought about her every day since the day I met her in February of 1989. And I'm not exaggerating, man. Every day. And in fact, the day that Bobby and I got married, I'm telling you, man, I almost walked away.
So I'm just curious, being a man and having had these similar situations in terms of, somebody who you really think a lot about. Do you have any idea of where things are with her now?
Well, she's married and she teaches at the University of Chicago.
Okay. So she moved on. She's living her life, and you're still struggling with what could have been but wasn't.
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to gloss over this fact because I read in your book that you played basketball with some guy named Barack. Yeah. I played ball with
the former president, Barack Obama.
So you guys were like contemporaries. Were you attending the university at the same time, or he just happened to be someone that you shot hoops with from time to time?
No, he was a professor at the University of Chicago Law School, and I was a graduate student.
Okay. Wow. So what was that like for you?
What?
I mean, the fact that you had no way of knowing that this man was going to eventually go on to be president of the United States. But what can you remember about him as you were, aware of him and what he was doing and, able to?
Well, I can tell you that he is a good man. He's a very bright man, but he is a very good man. And he absolutely loves his wife. And his wife, Michelle, she was, I mean, I remember her as one of the great ones, I can tell you that I thought they made a great couple. I am not good friends with the two of them. I have friends here in Cleveland that are very good friends with them, but I can't say that I'm a good friend of theirs. But I feel comfortable calling them both friends.
Okay. Well, obviously you had more than a handshake. What was his basketball game like?
Oh, dude, I'm gonna tell you, man. That brother can play. First of all, Vince, he is a lefty, and I'm assuming I'm assuming that you're also a former ball player, and so you know that a lefty is hard to defend, So no, he is a baller. But I got to tell you, first time I saw him, well, actually, before I saw him, I actually heard about him. I heard about him on campus. All these people kept talking about this guy, Barack Obama. I was like, who the heck is Barack Obama? And so I saw him for the first time when I showed up to play basketball one evening at the Henry Crown Center. And I saw this guy standing on the side. He had these short shorts on, and I was like, who is this brother? Vince, I said, who is this brother? This brother can't play no ball, And Vince, I was proven wrong. Vince, when I saw him play, I was like, oh, this guy can play.
Okay, so it wasn't just a joke. It's more than a notion that former president, he got game.
Oh yeah, he definitely has some game. He got some game.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
Well, the thing about the whole left hand thing is that, most folks that are playing basketball are right-handed. So when they drive to the basket, they drive to the right side. So,
yes.
If you are a right-hander and you can throw it up there with the left hand, it gives you an unfair advantage, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's exactly right, man.
Okay.
Exactly right.
Yeah. All right. So I want to get to some of the things that you have been able to accomplish now that we've gotten your love life kind of encapsulated. We'll talk about the fact that you have a son. I've taken out your Facebook page, and obviously it looks like you have a good relationship with your son. But we also want to talk about some of your professional accomplishments because you are Dr. Nicholas Maurice Young, correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to get into that when we come back. You're listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. My guest this morning is Dr. Nicholas Maurice Young. We'll be right back.
Since 1997, St. Luke's Foundation has awarded millions of dollars each year to positive, impactful organizations that serve you and your community. And now it's time to put the money where your mouth is. So we're introducing Lift Every Voice, a platform created to hear directly from you. We want to know what's important to you and what's important for your community, so St. Luke's Foundation can put all these millions in all the right places. And sharing your voice is easy to do. Go to lev216.org and sign up for the Lift Every Voice email and text updates. It's completely anonymous and totally free. And your voice will impact where, why, and how St. Luke's Foundation spreads that monetary love. Head over to lev216.org and sign up now to help lift every voice in our community. This message is brought to you by St. Luke's Foundation and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
We're back with Dr. Nicholas Maurice Young, author of I Will Stand, the story of love, illness, and perseverance. And we just talked about the fact that at one point he was a graduate student at the University of Chicago, and one of his pupils, one of his basketball, playmates, so to speak, is the former president of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama. So you went to school, Kent State University, you went to the University of Chicago. You told us that you were in Minnesota, and doing great things there. Give us an idea of what your professional life was like, some of the things that you did as a professional, and how you managed that in light of the diagnosis with multiple sclerosis.
Well, I taught entrepreneurship in two business schools. The business school in Minnesota, and I also taught it at a business school in upstate New York. And I have to tell you, man, the reason why I did that is because I said, you know what, I don't think I wanted to teach sociology anymore. And I said I had to do something different. And so, and on top of it, the business school, you know, you can go to some business schools and they will pay you very well. I had a 6-figure salary when I taught at the school in upstate New York. I mean, I was their top candidate. And, yeah, so it was cool, but, I made a mistake. I should not have gone to teach at the school in upstate New York. The reason why I did that, Vince, is because I tried to avoid teaching at a top tier school. I got a PhD from the University of Chicago, and which is one of the top sociology departments in the world. And I was trained by some of the top sociologists in the world. And but I saw how the assistant professors were. The assistant professors were. They were put through a meat grinder. And I said, no, Nick, you can't do that. I said, Nick, I just said, I can't do that because, that would be too stressful for me, in terms of my health. And so that's why I went to the school in upstate New York. And but Vince, I made a mistake. I made a mistake because um, I discovered when I started teaching there that I was surrounded by a bunch of people that had no clue what it took to do seminal work. And so I had my first year of Vince, I actually wrote 3.5 papers. Now, Vince, I can tell you right now, that doesn't happen. That doesn't. You won't find another assistant professor that could do something like that. And so, but the thing is, though, Vince, I was overextended by the guy that was hired when I was hired. He was the dean. He overextended me. I told him about my idea for a conference, for a international conference, and he loved it. But see, what I later learned about him is the reason why he loved it is because it gave him a chance to let me see, how can I say this? It gave him a chance to flex, you know. And the conference I put together turned out to be a very good conference, friends. But the thing is, though, this guy had me on 4 committees. You know, I mean, you know, so Vince, I couldn't turn those papers into publications. And so, I was there from between 2002 and 2005. But in spring of 2003, I actually met this graduate student. He took one of my classes. I created and taught this course on social networks and entrepreneurship. And he told me that one day, told me that one night he saw this program about the Underground Railroad. And he asked me, he said, Nick, they said it was a network. Is that true? I said, yeah, that is what they say. And Vince, he said to me, Nick, you got to do something with that, man. And I told him, I said, man, that is a great idea. I said, but the thing is, brother, there is no data on the Underground Railroad. No data. And so he said, yeah, you're right. And so 6 months passed, and he told me, I saw him again. He said, Nick, you got to do something with this. And so I told him, I said, listen, I'll do something with it if you help me. And he found this couple in Albany, New York, that had they put together this they put together this let me see what I call it. Well, I'll just say this: they were self-trained historians, and they had a program where they brought this guy in to talk about the present day slavery. And so I told my students to go and check it out and go and talk to them. So he did that. He came back. He said, Nick, these people would like to work with you. I said, okay, all right. So I met with them. And I met with my former student. And I told them, I said, look, the only thing I know how to do is we have to put together the network. And so they said, okay. So we put together the network of the upstate New York Underground Railroad Group, and so we had all this data. Well, I can tell you that 6 months after that, I was forced to come under my 3-year review. Now, when I say forced, the school had a policy that if anybody goes out on a medical leave, which I did, and I went out on a medical leave in the fall of 2003, and so I wrote a chapter in my book, about the fact that I think I almost died one night. I had contracted a virulent form of the flu, and Vince, it almost took me out. And I got to tell you, I was lying on the futon Bobby and I had in the living room, and I got to tell you, Vince, I actually felt life leaving me. And Vince, I'm gonna tell you the truth. When that happened, Vince, all of a sudden I saw the face of the woman I call Bobby, and I said no, and I was lying down, and I said no, and Vince, I just popped up. I said, oh my God. I asked myself that I almost died. And so, Vince, I walked back to the bedroom, and brother, I slept for 15 hours. 15 hours, Vince. And I don't know what happened to me that night, but I can tell you that something took a lot out of me. Well, anyway, I actually went out on this medical leave, and my former colleagues, they decided they didn't want me around. And Vince, I think they didn't want me around because they got a chance to read the papers that I wrote, and they saw the type of work that I could do. And, and I'm telling you, none of them could do anything like that, And so they didn't renew my contract. And so as fate would have it, I applied for and was awarded a very prestigious postdoctoral fellowship from Stanford University in the Center for the Comparative Study of Race and Ethnicity. And Vince, I got that fellowship, and I'm telling you, man, brother, you wouldn't believe it, brother. I tell you, man, whenever I walked around the business school, I would hear the rumors. I could hear people talking, hear people saying things like, "Oh my God, that's Nick Young. He is going to Stanford. He is going to Stanford." So and I got to tell you, that made me feel good. That made me feel good that I would not have to stay there and serve out my terminal year there. I said, look, I have to get the heck out of here, And so when I was at Stanford, I actually wrote the first draft of the paper that eventually became the article about Harriet Tubman that I wrote.
Okay. It sounds like there's an affinity to history with us. You talked about the Underground Railroad. You talked about Harriet Tubman.
Yes.
You talked about a few other things, and I get the feeling that there might be another few writing projects in the works for you. I'm going to go ahead and project that they will happen, and I want to go ahead and congratulate you on the success as it comes. It's been quite a fascinating story, and I'm sure that if folks read your book and the books that are to come, there will be something in there for them to learn. Thanks for joining us on Open Door. We've run out of time, but we'll have to do this again.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks for joining us. And for those of you who are listening, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, make today your best day. Peace.